Well, it's another Monday and another F100 update. So, a bit later on in the video, I'm going to share the unboxing video for the Vivore headers. I'll tell you right now, I wasn't expecting much, but I had a bit of a look on the photos and went, I reckon these are going to fit. And as you can see, they are on, and they've had some heat go through them, and they're pretty good. They cost $135, freighted to my door. They rocked up in 3 days, and they clear the patrol chassis quite nicely. So overall, you really can't complain when comparing to other options out on the market. Sticking with the old school theme, I sourced one of these just coolant expansion bottles. This will get mounted on the air intake piece that is going to be between the radiator for now, until we get to the point of either supercharging or turbocharging the LS, and it's just gonna direct air into the radiator. I'm hoping to put a set of EF/EL thermofans on the backside. That will get quite a bit of airflow going, and it will be controlled by the LS ECU, obviously with the low speed, high speed fan. Speaking of which, you'll notice that we no longer have an ECU sitting here, because the ECU is now wired up in the vehicle. The Ford have a hole through here from the factory. When they swapped them over to right-hand drive, they blanked the hole by popping a patch over it. We just knocked that patch out, went back through that hole, and it's doing the job quite nicely. That plug, of course, is the Holden plug, just chopped out to fit and look nice and tidy. We have rewired the rear lights, and alright, so my goal for tonight is to rewire the tail lights. So all of this is going to be utilised, and hopefully get the tail lights working and the fuel gauge working. So we'll see how that goes. Picked up some 5-core. I really thought it was 7-core when I grabbed it, and as it turns out, it's 5. So that was a bit of a whoops, but I'll make it work. That was definitely needed. I've gone along and put plugs on the backside of all the lighting circuit now, so that if I decide that I need to take this tub off and swap it with one of the other tubs, or if I need to do the bodywork on it, which I'm definitely going to be enjoying that. There are now just 2 6-pin plugs, and I also ran an extra earth down that will attach to the chassis, and that's on both sides. All nice and tucked up, all nice and tidy, just super clean way of doing it. Runs along the top of the chassis. When I redid the fuel pump wiring, I also hooked up to the patrol gauge and ran another wire for reverse lights. The way that the F100 reverse lights work is they have a switching diode mounted in the firewall, and when you select reverse, the indicator lights come on. And as you can imagine, indicator lights as reverse lights really aren't a fantastic thing. As if that's the reverse light. Like, So once I go ahead and get the rear bar mounted up, I reckon I'm going to put just a small LED light, or maybe even keep it a bit more old school, and we'll put a halogen globe, something that will give it a bit of light out the back either way. So I decided to put the ECU underneath the glove box. There's quite a bit of room here, so I'm going to make up a bracket, and it's going to sit right here. There are a couple of bolt holes on top of the LS ECU. So we'll make a bracket, pick up off the dash support, and the LS ECU can sit here like this. The Deutsch plugs have been wired up. One of those Deutsch plugs go off for the reverse park neutral lockout, which is all incorporated into the factory loom now as well. So when you select park or reverse, when you have park or neutral, the car is allowed to start off the key. When you have it in reverse, the reverse lights come on. Sort of a crazy concept, really. The brown wire that was at the back is also over here, because the way that the diode system works, that will have to get changed if we ever go over to a different lighting system. So I've brought it into the cab, as well as the fuel pump wires and the fuel gauge wires. Fuel gauge earths are in here as well. The fuel gauge wire itself picks up outside in the engine bay. Fuel pump relay is just tucked in here. I made it where it's reachable from underneath the dash, but you don't have to look at it. Keep it all nice and tidy, make it all nice and clean. Managed to get a Dakota digital dash converter. So that, in conjunction with the LS tacho output and me adjusting the trim pots on the Cortina dash, has enabled me to use the tacho, and it's accurate. I have also made a slight modification to the back of the cluster, which is I've drilled a tiny little hole here, and that enables me to get to the trim pot so that I can do in-car adjustments, as well as the adjustments on the actual Dakota Bluetooth. So that's been quite good. The the OBD2 plug, I'm just going to mount up near the fuse blocks. The other two wires that are there are the vehicle speed sensor and the power economy switch for the auto trans. So most likely just going to earth out the power economy switch so it's in power all the time. But yeah, the brake lights now work. Simply a matter of adjusting the switch. And you'll probably notice that the accelerator pedal is, one, sitting a lot closer to the brake pedal, and two, is up off the floor. That is because we now have it hooked up, and we've had to make a few little changes to the pedal, but we do get full throttle and fully closed with a much better pedal feel, where it isn't this huge jump between pedal to pedal. They could possibly move over a little bit more, but I don't really see a point. There's room for your feet on both sides. Later on I do want to add cruise control to this, so you know, they are a big vehicle, lots of room. And yeah, jumping back into the engine bay, I have mounted the fuel filter. The fuel filter I've just mounted underneath the patrol bracket. I'm not overly in love with the Speedflow and Raceworks, the look of the fittings. I would like something that looks a slightly bit more factory. This side I can probably pick up a line off, say, like one of the original LS ones, and that will look a lot more how it's supposed to be. This side's a little bit more of a challenge, but yeah, I'll work something out, definitely. Went off to Super Cheap Auto and found a washer bottle. These are just your generic $30 windscreen washer bottles. They hold about a litre, litre and a half, and they're okay. They certainly don't push out a lot of water, and they don't hold a lot of water. I was, however, going through the petrol parts and noticed that the petrol washer bottle is obviously significantly larger, but it sits up in this back corner and hides a lot of the stuff that I want to sort of hide, keep the eyes away from the fuel filter and a lot of the things that sort of indicate that this is what it is in the event that the bonnet gets popped. So I've gone ahead and mounted that. Unbelievably, the screw holes pretty much line up. This is the factory one that was holding the bottle. So yeah, that'll be quite good. Obviously it doesn't have rear washers, but that will just get a blanking plug put in or a just a cap over it. So that will be yeah, quite good as well. I've gone through, picked up some of the high temperature protection material just to put over the boots that we've had to modify, and I've also gone down and done that on the crank angle sensor, as the wiring on that had already been burnt through. So when I had done the repair, I had put on some of the car builder's hot sleeve, and then over the top of the hot sleeve we added reflector sleeve, so it should be fairly protected down there. But yeah, if anything happens to it, I think I'm just going to extend the wiring, drop it right down out of the way of the exhaust, and it should be all good then. I did have to modify a few of the spark plug leads to fit with the Vivore headers. You can get 45 and 90 degree boots off the shelf. I wasn't really prepared to wait. So what you can do is you can grab this end and this end with a pair of pliers and put a small kink in them. And then once you put the boot back on, it gives you a bent boot style. So just like that. These ones here have actually got quite the bit of angle to them. So just one thing to keep in mind, if you do go ahead and order yourself a set of these, it's definitely worth ordering a set of the 45 leads too, and making up a bit of a combination between the two. Put it up in here and show off the what we've done with the exhaust. Underneath the vehicle, I've done a few little tricks that I know of. Annoyingly, this sump is still leaking, so I have to pull that off and work out why. I think, based on the way it's leaking, it might be the high pressure fittings through here, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, the headers come with these initial points. One we had to cut down to clear the patrol chassis. Because this is obviously an Effie body, I've got a lot more room than you would traditionally do. So for that reason, I swung it over the top of the chassis. But yeah, this side, other than needing a heat shield through here, which I'm going to manufacture up either some of the perforated heat proof material or just a stainless steel piece and protect it that way. What I did was ran 2.5 inch to the back of the transfer case on this side and 3 inch on this side. The reason for that is to keep the exhaust velocity a little bit faster through this section, which will help it get up and over the back end of the transfer case and into the merge. This is a temporary exhaust. Obviously the turbos and the supercharged, or turbo or supercharger, will change this exhaust. However, it gives you a bit of an idea of what can be done. So at the back here, I'm just going to bring it out, whack another hot dog through here and drop it out the side. I could go twin outlets, but given that this is just a temporary exhaust because I'm trying to make the Iron Empire car show on Sunday, or Cars and Coffee on Sunday, just sort of, yeah, trying to put it back together as much as possible. As we've discussed before, I do want to do new cab mounts for the vehicle, move it forward about 20mm. Got my upper radiator mount to do, got to put the bonnet back on, finish up the shifter cable. Sump leak is still leaking. Battery mount, that's a nice simple one. Power steering lines and trans cooler. Power steering cooler. My fuel filter mount is now done, as is my accelerator pedal. So that also leaves in the electrical, the front lights, radio, horn, alternator, oil pressure, coolant, washers and OBD. So once they're done, that pretty much gets the vehicle at where I want it. We're at a point where I'll be able to drive it at least anyway, and hopefully maybe even give it a flick of, I don't know, flick of some paint and just make it look a bit nicer. Vivore header unboxing, and let's just start that the size of the box is a little bit concerning, but it may be good. It may be good. Hopefully that's a sign that they're going to be a good size. They're not great, but they're not bad. Some poor little Chinese kid sitting in there welding them away. But, oh, here we go. Here is the big deciding thing. Are they going to fit?